It's life, liberty, and the pursuit of self-reliance. An Economy of One with Gary Rathbun.
This is our country.
Joining me now is Josh Mandel. He's the treasurer of Ohio. He's the 48th treasurer in the state of Ohio, elected in 2010 and reelected in 2014. He's a Marine Corps vet who served 2 tours in Iraq, and he served 2 terms in the Ohio House of Representatives and 1 in a district that is 2-1 Democratic. Treasurer Mandel, welcome to An Economy of One.
Thanks, Gary. Good to be on.
I read some articles recently, and I told my producer to give you a call. Ohio, second year in a row, ranks number 1 in government transparency.
We're proud to earn the state of Ohio that number 1 ranking by the online transparency website I built. It's called ohiocheckbook.com. And if any of your listeners want to check it out, they can just go online to ohiocheckbook.com and follow the money and hold the politicians accountable. I took $473 billion of spending, everything from $2 for a pack of pencils to millions of dollars for road contracts and everything in between. And I put it on the internet so citizens can see how the money's being spent and hold the politicians accountable. This initiative, ohiocheckbook.com, Gary, it's all about power to the people. It's all about empowering everyday taxpayers to hold these politicians accountable.
You know, it was just a couple years ago that Ohio was a D- from the United States Public Interest Research Group, and now we're number 1. How did you quarterback that transition?
Well, yeah, a few years ago we were ranked 46th in the country for government transparency. And I said to my staff, that's embarrassing. It shouldn't be that way. Let's do something about it. So we put our heads together and we built ohiocheckbook.com. We put online, as I mentioned, $473 billion of state spending. And now I'm starting to ruffle some feathers at the local level because I've called on all the cities, counties, and school districts to put their finances online. There's about 4,000 local governments and school districts in the state of Ohio, and we already have 647 of them signed up to put their finances online.
Is the Toledo Public Schools part of this open checkbook? Are their finances on the website?
We have about 647 local governments and school districts signed up so far. And the Toledo Public Schools are actually the first school district in the entire state of Ohio to sign up. And so
Excellent.
I applaud Romulus Durant and his team there at the Toledo Public Schools for being leaders in transparency.
I can imagine that every school you sign up or that goes on, every municipality that goes on, puts pressure on all the ones that aren't on, doesn't it?
It's an astute observation, Gary. We are in the process of creating a public pressure system, and every week we're signing up more and more local governments and school districts. And as time moves on and we sign up more of them, it puts pressure on the ones that are dragging their feet. And over time, there's going to be a tipping point. And at one point, we'll reach that time when so many citizens have showed up at school board meetings and city council meetings and county commissioner meetings demanding that they see how the money's being spent, that it'll just get too hot in the kitchen for these local officials, and they'll end up putting the finances online anyway. And so what I've said to these local school board members and city councilmen and mayors is, listen, you're going to end up doing this anyway. Rather than being shamed into it on the back end, why don't you proactively do it on the front end and be leaders in transparency?
Absolutely. Now, speaking of that, in your experience, I mean, you've been in the House of Representatives in Ohio. Does this open checkbook.com, does this site go into the politicians' motivation when they're proposing bills and stuff? Is it in the back of their head to, wait a minute, if this passes, it's going to be out there in the open for everybody to see? Does it cause them any hesitation on some of their spending bills?
Gary, you're asking all the right questions. What I say to my staff and what I say to taxpayers around the state, transparency for the sake of transparency is not the goal. The goal here is to change the behavior of the politicians, change the behavior of the bureaucrats, make them think twice before they go to a conference in Hawaii when they could have gone to a conference in Cincinnati.
Right.
Make them think twice before they stay at the Ritz-Carlton on taxpayer dime when they could have stayed at the Holiday Inn down the street. Make them think twice before they give a contract to their brother-in-law when there was a lower bidder down the road. And this initiative, OhioCheckbook.com, it's all about empowering taxpayers to hold politicians accountable. And by empowering citizens to hold these public officials accountable, we're going to change the behavior of the politicians. And by changing that behavior, it'll make government limited in size and scope. It'll make government small and make the individual big.
You know, I got on the site, looked it on. It's really easy to navigate, and kind of a Google-like atmosphere on checking on stuff. Do you know how many citizens, how many people are logging on and looking at stuff?
Well, the whole goal here is to make it easy to search and navigate, and I think it's one of the reasons why we've had over 500,000 searches thus far. And we're just getting started here. And so, yeah, we built this thing with a Google-style search, and it's pretty easy to navigate. I mean, I think for any of your listeners, if they want to go online and see for themselves on OhioCheckbook.com, it's pretty easy to follow the money.
We're speaking with Treasurer Josh Mandel, the state of Ohio's #1 under his leadership in fiscal transparency. I'm gonna be cynical for a minute here, Treasurer. Is this something? I mean, it's very clear and excellent in being able to hold politicians accountable. Is this something that you think that politicians, future politicians, or people running for office will use to maybe distort spending of their opponents, or is that part of the transparency also to shine more light on the spending of their opponents?
We have not seen it yet to distort any information. I mean, I think we present the information with good context. But here's the reality. This information is already a matter of public record. All we're doing is using technology to make it accessible to the people. So, I mean, anyone can use this public information in different forms of media. We're just using it in a form that's easy to search and navigate. But listen, this information doesn't belong to the government. It belongs to the people.
Right.
What I'm trying to do is put it at the people's fingertips from the comfort of their computer in their kitchen or their iPhone or the computer at their desk at their office.
Now, are other states following your lead? I mean, this is, to be #1 means that you're leading. You're doing things that other states aren't doing. Are other states in the country following your lead and copying your ideas here?
We're trying to help as many states that want to do this. We don't have any pride in authorship. I mean, my sense is that if we can set off a national race for transparency, net, it'll be good for citizens throughout Ohio and throughout the country. And ultimately, if we can build up a critical mass of states that have their finances online, eventually maybe we can take a delegation of state treasurers and governors and others to Washington and say to these yahoos in Washington, hey, it's time to put the federal checkbook online as well.
Yeah, that would be huge. I mean, I've seen books where people have read through the national budget and pulled things out where money is going and how silly it's being wasted. But if you had a search like this, a website that's easy to use and stuff like this on a national level, I got to believe it would make a huge difference in how people view.
Yeah, we're trying to smoke out boss hog type politicians. We're trying to smoke out waste, fraud, and abuse. I mean, listen, people work hard every day in their jobs, and when they pay their taxes, they expect that money to be managed and held in a responsible manner, not to be wasted. And I personally believe that the more power the people have over the politicians, the better and more efficient it'll be in the long run. I mean, think about it. When you read that Constitution, it doesn't start off "we the government." It starts off "we the people."
Well, and I was just sitting here thinking another benefit to this to us Ohio citizens is it also allows us to fact check the media that's putting out information.
It does. It does. The media has been using OhioCheckbook.com for some of their stories, but then to your point, this allows the readers and the citizens and the viewers to fact check the fact checkers.
That's right.
It's this thing is being used in a lot of ways that I never even imagined, and so it's one of the nice things about technology. When you are willing to use technology to empower taxpayers, really there's no limit. And that's exactly what we're doing. And listen, one of the nice things here with this OhioCheckbook.com and this transparency initiative in general is that it's not a partisan initiative.
Right.
I'm a Republican, but we've worked with a lot of Democrats on this. And my message has been, listen, I don't care if you're a Democrat, Republican, Independent, Libertarian, Vegetarian, what have you. All we're trying to do here is empower taxpayers to hold politicians accountable, shine that sunlight on spending, and regardless of your party affiliation, if you want to join our transparency movement, we'd love to have you aboard.
Excellent. I'm talking to Ohio Treasurer Josh Mandel about OhioCheckbook.com. We're going to put all that on our website, a site that has catapulted our state to number one for fiscally transparent government. Treasurer, I want to ask you just one final question. You served 2 tours in Iraq as a Marine. Thank you for your service. And 2 terms in Ohio House of Representatives. Which one was harder? And you don't have to answer that. I'm just being somewhat facetious. But thank you so much for your service as in our military. But most importantly, thank you for your service to our state as treasurer. You've done a great job, and this is a terrific site, easy to navigate, and this is something that's going to make a difference in our state for many, many years to come. So thank you for your effort, and thank you so much for your time with us today.
Thanks, Gary. Always good to be on.
I appreciate it. We'll talk to you again soon. I'm Gary Rathbun. This is an Economy of One.
This is our